What if the biggest story of Grammy night wasn't who showed up, but who didn't? Before you scroll past, stay with this story until the end and drop your thoughts in the comments, because what unfolded behind the scenes reveals a powerful mix of global success, quiet support, and a shift in how modern stardom is defined. As the world tuned in to music's most prestigious night, one absence instantly dominated headlines. Fans were stunned. Social media exploded. Questions flooded timelines at lightning speed. Why did Taylor Swift skip the Grammys at the very moment many expected her to shine the brightest? For some fans, the disappointment felt personal. Grammy night had long been symbolic, a victory lap, a public coronation. And yet, the queen of global pop was nowhere to be seen. But while cameras fixated on red carpets and acceptance speeches, another narrative was quietly unfolding. Taylor Swift wasn't stepping back from success. She was standing at its absolute peak. Across continents, her music surged to the top of global charts. Streaming numbers spiked. Physical and digital sales soared. Her name dominated search trends worldwide. This wasn't a normal winning streak. This was cultural saturation, a reminder that her influence now exists far beyond a single award ceremony. Then came the moment that subtly shifted the entire conversation. While fans debated and critics speculated, Travis Kelce delivered a gesture that spoke louder than any trophy. No spotlight, no stage, just visible, undeniable support. A reaction caught on camera, a simple acknowledgement that quickly went viral. In a world obsessed with spectacle, it was understated, and that's exactly why it resonated. It reframed the narrative from absence to intention. The tempo of the story changed. What began as outrage softened into curiosity. Zoom in on fan reactions and you could see it happen in real time. Anger turned into reflection. Disappointment shifted toward understanding. Was skipping the Grammys really a loss? Or was it a statement? Analysts began to weigh in, suggesting that Taylor Swift has entered a phase where validation no longer comes from institutions, but from impact. Massive, measurable, global impact. Halfway through the conversation, a new question reignited tension. Was this just coincidence, or part of a larger strategy? Insiders hinted that timing, priorities, and personal balance played a role. Travis Kelce, no stranger to pressure and public scrutiny, appeared fully aligned. Rather than chasing the spotlight, he stood firmly behind the moment that mattered most. Celebrating success on a global scale, not a single night. The climax arrives when numbers replace speculation. During Grammy week, Taylor Swift's worldwide dominance intensified. Her tour continued to be described as one of the most economically influential in modern music history. Fashion trends followed her movements. Cultural conversations orbited her name. Ironically, by not attending, she became unavoidable. She didn't need the Grammys to dominate the narrative. The narrative followed her anyway. And this is where the payoff lands. Travis Kelce's quiet support reframed success itself. Not about walking red carpets together, but about mutual understanding when the pressure is highest. Fans who once felt let down began expressing pride instead. This wasn't absence, it was evolution. A relationship not built for spectacle, but for stability in the middle of relentless fame. As the story closes, one truth becomes clear. Skipping the Grammys wasn't a missed moment. It was a defining one. Taylor Swift is no longer chasing milestones. She's setting the pace. And with Travis Kelce's grounded, genuine support, this chapter feels less like controversy and more like confidence. Now it's your turn. Was skipping the Grammys the right move or a missed opportunity? Share your take, join the discussion, and keep this conversation going, because the impact of this decision is still unfolding. And the story doesn't stop there. As the initial shock settled, a deeper layer of context began to surface, transforming what many first labeled as a snub into a calculated moment that reflects how power now operates in modern pop culture. Industry insiders quietly pointed out that award shows, while still prestigious, no longer define relevance the way they once did. In an era ruled by data, reach, and real-time engagement, dominance is measured minute by minute, and during Grammy week, Taylor Swift owned every metric that mattered. Behind closed doors, conversations reportedly shifted from, "Why didn't she attend?" to, "Does she even need to?" That question alone marked a turning point. For over a decade, Grammy appearances symbolized artistic validation. But this moment suggested something more radical. A superstar choosing global momentum over ceremonial recognition. And in doing so, she forced the industry and her audience to confront a new reality. Fan communities, initially fractured by disappointment, began reconnecting around a shared realization. Clips resurfaced showing sold-out stadiums on multiple continents. Headlines highlighted record-breaking economic impact in city after city. Analysts emphasized that her tour wasn't just entertainment. It was infrastructure, capable of moving local economies. The absence from one night in Los Angeles suddenly felt small compared to the scale of what was happening worldwide. The emotional arc deepened when attention returned to Travis Kelce. His support wasn't loud, and that's precisely why it landed. In a culture addicted to performative gestures, his response felt grounded, almost protective. No attempt to redirect attention. No need to explain, just presence. Observers noted how rare that is in high-profile relationships, especially under the weight of constant surveillance. It added a human layer to a story that could have easily remained transactional. Momentum surged again as media narratives pivoted. Articles reframed the situation as a power move. Commentators suggested that by skipping the Grammys, Taylor Swift reclaimed control of her own timeline. Instead of reacting to an institution's calendar, she dictated her own rhythm, one aligned with global audiences rather than industry expectations. The conversation was no longer about what she missed, but about what she chose. Then came another wave of intrigue, whispers of future projects, upcoming announcements, and strategic silence fueled speculation. The lack of immediate explanation only intensified engagement. Every post, every appearance, every subtle signal was dissected. Pattern interrupts came fast. One day, nostalgia-driven clips flooded feeds. The next day, fresh performance footage reignited hype. The energy never dropped. If anything, it escalated. At the heart of it all was a shift in perception. Fans began recognizing that this wasn't detachment, it was evolution. A move from proving greatness to preserving it. From external validation to internal alignment. And Travis Kelce's role, while understated, symbolized balance. In a world that demands constant output, his support hinted at something more sustainable. Success that doesn't require burning out for applause. As the narrative stretched beyond Grammy night, one conclusion grew louder. This moment would be remembered not as an absence, but as a signal. A signal that the rules have changed, that legacy artists can still disrupt, that the loudest statement sometimes comes from not showing up. And as global conversations continue to ripple outward, one thing remains undeniable. Taylor Swift didn't fade from the spotlight that night. She reshaped it. And with quiet confidence and unwavering support beside her, this chapter feels less like controversy and more like control. So now the question circles back to you. In an era where attention is currency, was skipping the Grammys the ultimate flex, or a risk that paid off because of who she's become? Join the conversation, share this story, and keep watching, because if history has proven anything, the next move will be even bigger. The ripple effects of that single decision continued to spread far beyond the Grammy broadcast, evolving into a broader discussion about power, timing, and emotional intelligence in the public eye. Entertainment desks that initially framed the story as fans disappointed quietly updated their tone. The language shifted. Words like strategic, intentional, and transformational began replacing absence and controversy. This wasn't damage control. It was narrative gravity pulling everything back toward Taylor Swift's orbit. By the following days, data-backed reports reinforced what many had started to sense intuitively. During Grammy week, Taylor Swift-related content outperformed nearly every other artist across platforms. Search interest climbed instead of dipping. Engagement didn't stall, it accelerated. In a media environment where attention usually fractures during major award shows, her name cut through the noise without a single red carpet appearance. That contradiction became the story itself. cultural commentators pointed out something even more telling. Younger audiences, particularly Gen Z and Gen Alpha listeners, appeared largely unfazed by the Grammy absence. For them, relevance was not measured by trophies but by presence in their daily digital lives. Playlists, short-form clips, live performances, and community-driven moments. In that context, skipping the Grammys wasn't rebellion. It was alignment with how modern fandom actually functions. As this perspective gained traction, the emotional temperature among fans continued to evolve. Initial disappointment gave way to defense. Fans began articulating arguments once reserved for industry insiders: award fatigue, institutional bias, and the emotional toll of constant public performance. The conversation matured. What started as frustration transformed into advocacy, with many arguing that Taylor Swift had earned the right to choose rest, focus, or strategy over ceremony. Meanwhile, attention subtly returned to Travis Kelce, not because he demanded it, but because his restraint stood out. In an ecosystem where celebrity partners are often expected to amplify moments for optics, his refusal to overperform support became a statement in itself. Analysts noted how his background in elite sports may have shaped that response. Championships, like awards, lose meaning if they come at the cost of stability. Sometimes, the smartest move is protecting the long game. As days turned into a week, the absence from the Grammys began to feel almost symbolic. It represented a quiet decoupling from legacy systems that no longer hold exclusive authority. Taylor Swift didn't reject the institution outright. She simply demonstrated that her career no longer hinges on it. That nuance mattered. It reframed her not as an outsider, but as someone operating on a different level of leverage. The industry listened. Music executives, promoters, and strategists began referencing the moment in broader conversations about the future of award shows. If the world's biggest artist can skip the biggest night and still dominate the cultural conversation, what does that mean for everyone else? The question lingered uncomfortably, because it didn't just apply to Taylor Swift. It applied to the entire structure built around her generation of artists. Speculation naturally followed. Some wondered if this marked the beginning of selective visibility, appearing only when the moment aligns with personal or artistic intention. Others suggested it could signal a pivot toward global audiences over domestic prestige, especially as international markets continue to drive the majority of music revenue growth. Whatever the explanation, one thing was clear: the choice had weight, and it was felt. As the narrative reached its later phase, the emotional payoff became unmistakable. Fans weren't just accepting the decision, they were reinterpreting it as empowerment. Posts circulated framing the moment as a reminder that success doesn't always need to be witnessed to be real. That achievement can exist without applause. That sometimes, stepping away is the loudest way to assert control. And through it all, Taylor Swift remained characteristically silent. No defensive statement, no clarifying interview, no attempt to steer the discourse. That silence, too, became part of the story. It suggested confidence, trust in her audience, trust in the arc of her career, trust that the truth of her impact didn't require explanation. In the end, what fans thought they lost, a Grammy night appearance, was replaced by something more lasting. A glimpse into how power looks when it no longer needs permission, when success is self-evident, when support doesn't have to be staged to be genuine. The headlines may fade, but the implications won't. This wasn't just about skipping an awards show. It was about redefining what matters when you've already reached the summit. And as the conversation continues to echo across timelines and industries, one conclusion remains unavoidable. This wasn't a step back. It was a step beyond. The story is still unfolding. And the next move, whenever it comes, will land even heavier because of this one. What followed next was a subtle but powerful recalibration of public perception. One that didn't happen overnight, yet was impossible to ignore. As days passed, the disappointment that once dominated fan conversations gave way to something closer to admiration. The narrative matured. What once looked like a skipped obligation now resembled a confident refusal to be boxed in by expectation. Entertainment journalists began revisiting historical patterns, noting that moments like this often mark the transition from peak popularity to enduring legacy. Artists at Taylor Swift's level don't disappear, they reposition. The absence from the Grammys quietly joined a long list of career-defining decisions that, at first, confused the public, only to later be recognized as visionary. Context, once again, changed everything. Behind the scenes, sources close to the industry described how her team remained unusually calm during the online uproar. There was no scramble, no urgency to correct the narrative. That composure sent its own message. When an artist can withstand global scrutiny without responding, it signals a level of confidence few ever reach. The silence wasn't avoidance, it was assurance. Meanwhile, Travis Kelce's name continued to surface, not because of any deliberate move, but because of how naturally he fit into the story's emotional core. Observers pointed out that his support mirrored something increasingly rare in celebrity culture: restraint. There were no carefully staged appearances, no dramatic statements, just consistency. In a media cycle addicted to escalation, that steadiness felt almost radical. The story gained a second wind when fans started connecting broader dots. They noticed how Taylor Swift's recent trajectory has been defined by ownership of her music, her narrative, and her time. Skipping the Grammys suddenly aligned with a larger pattern of autonomy. This wasn't an isolated decision. It was part of an ongoing reclaiming of control, one choice at a time. As this interpretation spread, engagement surged again. Comment sections filled with reframed takes. Viral posts argued that true power is choosing when not to perform, that the ultimate flex isn't showing up, it's knowing you don't have to. The conversation shifted from loss to leverage, from expectation to evolution. Then came the broader cultural reflection. Critics began questioning whether award shows themselves are struggling to keep pace with the artists they celebrate. In a digital-first era, where impact is instant and global, the idea of validation through a single televised night feels increasingly outdated. Taylor Swift's absence unintentionally highlighted that gap, forcing the industry to confront its own relevance. What made the moment resonate even deeper was timing. At a point when many artists feel pressured to be everywhere at once, this decision pushed back against burnout culture. It suggested boundaries. It implied that success doesn't have to be loud to be real. For fans who have followed her journey from teenage songwriter to global force, the message felt earned, not dismissive. As the weeks unfolded, Grammy night itself faded from the spotlight, but the discussion it sparked did not. Instead, it evolved into a larger dialogue about sustainability, personal choice, and redefining milestones. Taylor Swift's career became a case study, not in ambition, but in discernment. In retrospect, the disappointment fans initially felt began to resemble a mirror, reflecting how deeply conditioned audiences have become to expect constant access. The realization was uncomfortable, yet clarifying. Artists, even the most beloved ones, are not obligated to appear on demand. And sometimes, stepping away strengthens the connection rather than weakening it. By the time the dust settled, one truth stood firm. Taylor Swift didn't miss a moment. She transformed it. And Travis Kelce's quiet presence throughout the storm reinforced a narrative that resonated far beyond pop culture headlines. Success is not just about what the world sees, but about who stands with you when the noise peaks. This chapter will likely be remembered not for the Grammys that were skipped, but for the confidence that was displayed. A confidence rooted in legacy, supported by authenticity, and amplified by global impact rather than ceremonial applause. And as fans continue to debate, analyze, and reinterpret the moment, the story remains alive. Proof that sometimes, the most powerful headlines are written by what doesn't happen. As time went on, the story continued to stretch beyond entertainment pages and into broader cultural discussion, signaling that this moment had tapped into something deeper than celebrity scheduling. It became a reflection of how audiences relate to power, choice, and visibility in a world that never stops watching. What initially felt like a letdown slowly revealed itself as a lesson in restraint, one that few public figures can afford to practice, let alone execute successfully. Observers began to note how rare it is for an artist at this scale to resist the gravitational pull of expectation. At the height of global attention, most stars lean in harder, maximizing exposure, reinforcing dominance through visibility. This time, the opposite happened. And paradoxically, the absence created more gravity, not less. The conversation didn't shrink. It expanded, spilling into think pieces, late-night monologues, and endless fan-driven analysis. Within fan circles, a new tone emerged. Instead of asking why she wasn't there, many began asking what comes next. That shift mattered. It reframed the moment from reaction to anticipation. The lack of immediate payoff heightened curiosity, and curiosity is fuel in modern media ecosystems. Every delay, every unanswered question added weight to the next appearance, wherever and whenever that might be. There was also a noticeable emotional recalibration among longtime supporters. For fans who grew up alongside her career, this moment felt symbolic of adulthood, not just hers, but theirs. The realization that milestones change over time resonated deeply. What once felt essential can eventually become optional. Success, they argued, evolves from proving yourself to protecting yourself. In industry circles, the implications were quiet.